By the end of this video, you will know everything there is to know about Ripple and XRP. We're going to go over 6 things. We're going to talk about Ripple and XRP. Yes, they are different. We're going to talk about XRP's basics, the current marketplace, Ripple's solution, then the pros and cons between the two, and then the conclusion. This is crypto for the rest of us. Typically 6 days a week, I do a tip, tool, or coin analysis. And then later in the day, usually every day, I go over specifically HBAR and ICP. Please do hit that like button. I always appreciate it. Leave comments. And I would appreciate it also if you would subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. So let's get right into this. It's going to be a long one. It's going to be worth it. You're going to want to watch to the end. And I always have to disclaim, I'm a big dumb animal. Don't do what I do. This is informational purposes only. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is talk about Ripple and XRP and how they're related. We'll start with Ripple. Ripple is the company. 3 things here. They're a tech company, obviously, and basically they have cross-border payment processing. If you don't know what that is now, you will by the end of this video. The product they use, they call RippleNet. I'm going to circle that. We've got Ripple's the company. The product they use for the cross-border payment processing is RippleNet, and the On-Demand Liquidity, it's their ODL acronym, they use XRP. Ripple's the company. Now let's talk about XRP. XRP is the cryptocurrency. It's independent of Ripple. These 2 things are not tied together. Yes, Ripple, the company, created it, but they operate independently. XRPL, you'll see, is the XRP ledger. It's the decentralized ledger, XRPL. What is it essentially being used for? A liquidity tool to satisfy their on-demand liquidity in transfers. That's the first thing you need to know, is that these 2 things are different and that they operate independently, and that Ripple utilizes XRP in their RippleNet. But as you will see as we go on, we'll talk about the fact that they don't have to use XRP, but they do in most situations. Secondly, we have the basics of XRP. We'll just talk about them briefly, and we'll get into them more as we go on. 3 things to know about them to know about XRP that makes it valuable. First off, it's a deflationary asset. Over time, the supply decreases because some of it is burned with transactions. Not all of it, just some. So over time, if the supply is decreasing, it's a deflationary asset because the price should be increasing. Cap supply is the second thing, meaning there's a fixed supply. So there will not be any more than the current supply. So that's what makes this work, because as it's burned, they're not going to keep creating more. It has a fixed amount, and it will only decrease, never increase. Thirdly, this is the most important part of it, as it is a bridge currency. We talked about Ripple using RippleNet for their customers to do transactions between banks, currencies, cross-border payments. You can convert between currencies quickly and efficiently. We'll get more into that, but that's why Ripple uses and created XRP. So first, let's set the landscape for what's currently happening so you can understand XRP's solution and what they're providing. Current bank transfers, international transfers. 2 words to know, nostro and vostro. Italian. Nostro means ours, vostro means yours. So, a US bank, let's call that Bank A for our example in a moment. That's the US bank. Bank B. The US bank will have to have an account in the foreign bank. If let's say it's in the UK, it would be British pounds. So they'll have different bank accounts holding money, assets in different currencies. They call it nostro, ours, because the US bank says, well, that's our money sitting at your bank. Okay, this bank just calls it vostro, yours, which is the opposite. They look at it as, yep, it's your money in our bank. All right, so in order for the US bank to do an international transfer to that UK bank, they have to already have assets in the local currency in order to make that transfer. And we'll talk about speed, currency conversion, and the fact that they're locking up assets in other banks that they could be using to do other things with. It's almost like a double accounting just to be able to send half that amount of money. So now let's talk about what XRP does. So now that we've explained what's currently going on, XRP, which has been operating and they have been doing this is their solution for international bank transfers. Here's what's happening with XRP, essentially 3 steps. You've got Bank A, this is our US bank in the other example. What they're going to do to transfer money to Bank B, that is their ultimate goal, get the money from here to there. They're going to convert the money, the US dollars, let's say $1 million US dollars, they're going to convert it to XRP. It's in their wallet. It's then going to be transferred, that's step 2, through RippleNet. Notice the little squiggly lines? Those represent ripples. Thought that was clever. The XRP is sent over RippleNet into the wallet at the other bank, about 3 to 5 seconds, which is extremely fast. Step 3, once it's in their wallet, they can convert the XRP back to whatever currency they want to convert it. If you've noticed, based on the prior way of doing things, this bank would have had to have had currency already sitting at this bank in order to do the transfer with the Nostro-Vostro accounts. In this case, there's no additional currency sitting. There's no need for that other account. It's sent quickly through RippleNet. Convert to XRP, send it through RippleNet, get it, and convert to your local, whatever currency it is that they want it to be in. It happens relatively fast. Currency conversion can take a little more time. But now, let's compare the two. So now let's talk about the pros and the cons, which we alluded to already throughout the video. However, we'll list out 3 different ones: price volatility, capital, and liquidity with respect to XRP and the Nostro-Vostro accounts. Price volatility. Well, imagine this. You're sending money, $1 million, however much it is, from A to B. You're sending $1 million, you want to receive $1 million. But because of the time in which it takes and currency fluctuations, by the time it's moved and changed into a particular currency, it may have been devalued, you may have lost some of your money. You sent $1 million, you ended up with 950,000. Not a good situation. So you need speed, okay? XRP, we're talking about seconds, possibly minutes, depending upon the exchange to the currency. But from the bank to XRP, across RippleNet, and then from XRP into whatever that new currency is, can literally happen in seconds, at most minutes. Nostro-Vostro, I don't have the average times, but from what I've read, it can be significantly longer, which can introduce changes in currencies and a larger differential between what you sent and what you ultimately end up with. Okay, let's talk about capital. This is a very important one. No additional capital is needed with XRP because you're converting to XRP, you're sending the actual XRP from wallet to wallet, and then it's converted. Remember, with the Nostro-Vostro, you had to lock up capital. Not only did you have the money coming from your current bank, but you already had to have capital in that Nostro account, your account at the other bank, sitting there. So you've locked up capital that you could otherwise be investing, lending, whatever it is they want to do with it. That's a huge difference, as is speed. Liquidity. Liquidity, how quickly essentially can you convert back to whatever currency it is at the other bank. By using their ODL, that's the Ripple company solution, which is their on-demand liquidity, what it stands for. They have what they call a near instant conversion. Convert, you send, you convert, and it happens almost instantly. Nostro-Vostro, again, I don't have the average times, but it can be timely. It can take more time. So as you can see, there are substantial differences between these 3. So in conclusion, I'm glad you stayed with me. There are 2 parts to this conclusion, and one is extremely important. First of all, we already talked about the fact that the cryptocurrency XRP is fast and there's near instant liquidity. Well, that's because XRP, and they use that XRP ledger, using RippleNet, can move quickly, and using their on-demand liquidity, it can be converted to the currency fast. This is a RippleNet technology, and this is a RippleNet technology. So the reason I was hoping you would wait to the end is to understand, like I pointed out, that these 2 are independent. It is possible for RippleNet to do everything we explained with XRP, but not use XRP. They can use other things. They can use a stable coin. Now, there are a lot of advantages to using XRP because it was created specifically for this purpose. I have no reason to believe that they're going to do anything other than XRP. However, at the time of this video, they're not using it in the United States because of the issues with the SEC. Some of that we believe has been settled, but we'll see where that goes. And they have used, it has been reported, that they've used USDT in some of these transactions. Probably not as fast, probably doesn't convert as quickly. However, they can use things other than XRP. And this is a very important thing to note. Not saying they're not going to use it. I'm just saying that they can survive and thrive and fulfill all of their agreements with all the banks they have and actually never use XRP. However, it does appear that they will be using it. That's what they created it for. And it seems like the perfect synergistic, and it seems like the perfect marriage of their technology with the XRP cryptocurrency. I hope you found this helpful. Please do hit that like button. I put a lot of time into getting this video together for myself to understand exactly how it works and to explain it to everyone else. Thank you for watching. As I always say, I hope we can make generational wealth together with cryptocurrency. Have a great day.